All right, new vibe for this episode.
Yep.
Couch episode, first couch episode. Not our first indoor episode. We've had one indoor episode before with our friends Jack and Paige at that
Yeah.
restaurant. But definitely first couch episode. So cheers,
Yep.
cheers to that. Cheers to the first couch episode. What are we going to talk about today on our first? We can't let the people down for the first couch episode.
Yeah.
So I hope you've prepared a good topic for us to discuss today.
I would say this topic hopefully it will be very helpful for our audience. So it's about since we've been here like for almost 2 weeks. So like sometimes even if we are always pumped for explore this oddity in a new environment, sometimes we do feel, I think it's human nature, we do feel like drained after like keep exploring and keep being exposed to different odd stuff. So today we're going to talk about how to recharge when you feel drained.
Okay.
So maybe maybe I should ask you because you are definitely more experienced. Sorry, every time I prefer asking you first.
No, it's okay. Brakes are very important. I used to be very anti-brakes. Like very
You still are.
I'm
sometimes.
still, in most aspects, I guess I am pretty anti-brakes. I don't like rest that much. Would you say that's true?
Well, in our sorry, I don't want to introduce a quick simple like philosophy idiom from Chinese way.
Okay.
磨刀不误砍柴工.
Okay.
So it means like break are pretty important. So somehow like say like you are like a woodworker, you want to like chop more woods. So sometimes so while you are break, it give you more time, not only just like relax yourself, but also give you more time to like polish your tools or just gather
All
yourself
right.
together.
So that's a good.
That's
Okay.
it.
Thank you for setting me up for that because I generally am okay with rest when rest is productive. Mm-hmm. So if you get to the point where in any facet of life, whether you're an athlete, just within your work, traveling, what it may be, sometimes rest can be productive in the sense that when you rest,
Yeah.
you then post-rest have more output per
Yeah.
minute, hour, whatever it may be. So I'm a fan of rest when it is productive. So we're going to talk about rest when it is productive. We're not going to talk about rest as far as being a lazy piece of and not wanting to do anything.
Yeah, that's definitely not the kind of rest we're going
Well,
to
we're not
mention.
talking about that kind of rest.
Yeah.
We're talking about when you are getting to the point where you are perhaps overworking yourself
Yeah.
and when rest is necessary for you to be able to continue whatever quote unquote journey you are on. Obviously, here we're going to be talking about it in the sense of whether it is a long-term traveler or whether it is someone who is an expat perhaps, or if maybe they call themselves a digital nomad who are living in places for extended periods of time and are subscribing to some of the ideas that we preach at Chameleon Pathos about integrating into the community and trying to assimilate and trying to become like one of them because sometimes that can become a little overwhelming,
Yeah.
very tiring,
Yeah.
extreme. And so this is where when you start to maybe have some of those feelings and start to feel worn down, rest can happen. So what does rest look like though? Is it being a complete recluse and being in your room and turning on Netflix and not leaving for 3 days? Maybe in an extreme sense, but I don't think I would advocate right off the bat. I think I actually made a video that we put in the Chameleon Club. I don't think I've shown you yet, actually, about where my mother was here. It was the end of the trip, and we had 2 weeks we were staying at nicer places that I normally stay at. We were perhaps going to restaurants that were more comfortable and familiar to where I am from, like a more comfortable way of living, material comforts.
Okay.
And what I sat down and talked about on that video was that, again, normally I'm very anti-brakes and anti-relaxing. Yeah?
Yeah.
But I think that sometimes, one, it can be productive in the sense that you are recharging and getting ready for the next step. But also, it's a good way to give yourself perspective of how far perhaps you've come, right? In the sense that it allows you to create space between your prior norm and your current norm. And so I was talking about how I think a break or some way to juxtapose what you've been getting up to lately. It could be just going to a nice cafe and sitting getting a nice latte, which might be something that you do in your home city, perhaps because you are trying to be more immersive in this new place you are. You're not doing that because it is seen as the Western comfort that, well, that's anti kind of my mission of what I'm doing here, right? It might be going to the nice restaurant. It might be just watching a movie you're familiar with. If you're studying a language and you're like, well, I must watch movies only in Korean because I'm studying Korean and I live in Korea, like, give yourself a break and just watch a movie that you would normally watch, not for self-improvement reasons, language study reasons. It might be something like that. And just take some time to maybe do something like that, one of those activities, but then also giving yourself the mental space to think about how far you've come so far in your extended travel, in your living abroad, in your being an expat, and how much more comfortable you are, where previously that life that you are now living seemed like an absolute dream and so far-fetched, and like, how could I ever become the person who could do that? So that's where I think rest is productive.
That
And the
sounds
only
fair.
time in which I would advocate for it. Because again, I generally like to optimize productivity. I see you laughing over there. As someone who works with me very closely, you know how I get sometimes. So that is how I can, as far as the mathematical formula of the ultimate goal you want to optimize for is productivity, that's how I can justify the rest. Is if it's either a recharge or a rest for your general physical health and energy levels, but also occasionally if you want to give yourself that juxtaposition of, wow, this is actually kind of wild how far I've come from where before I started this quote unquote journey. I'm imagining the person who did that. I am now that, like, wow, that's, oh my God, like, give yourself a pat on the back. And also that will, in a sense, give you energy to keep going and motivation. So those are my rambling thoughts on rest, and perhaps I'm a little off topic from what you imagined. So if you want to bring us back, feel free to.
No, I actually, I'm listening like fully like concentrated because I feel like even for me I learn a lot because and also the other reason I might want to explain a little bit. I think it's also related to our topic is because we're definitely dive deeper into about what kind of rest help us recharge, get ourselves back together when we feel drained. So like the reason I'm laughing before is like not only because I know you well, I know you're like anti-break person, but also because I'm a person. Maybe it's on the opposite. I'm a person very advocate break, but
It's almost a Chinese characteristic,
but
and it manifests in the form of meals. Like, eating times are your breaks.
yeah, but also there is one thing I think we're on the common ground is the break we are advocating or we appreciate is not the kind of thing like sometimes maybe it's human nature we're all like lock in some place you stay in house and watch Netflix to us watch Billy or something watch something like just like very entertaining and you just think of nothing to do that. I mean yes
Mind numbing.
mind numbing yeah but what I that kind of break it's definitely I would say like it's not a long term it's not a sustainable thing you might can do that it's more like a fast food things like it's like it's not that healthy actually for you to like actually like recharge when you are feel drained
It's rest. It's not recharge.
yes it's not recharge so what I'm
And rest without recharge is not productive.
yeah, that kind of rest is not productive. I
Right,
agree with that.
right.
So I think that the break, which I think it would be nice to maybe it's also one of I just said from our Chinese philosophy. Also, maybe it's something related with the paradigm where I used to have my my friends is because we're all like artists or designer mindset. So which the break is not only just rest, but also like sometimes help us to like gather all this romantic and unrealistic, or like because every day we're being, maybe you will also have the same thing, you are being like overwhelmed with different kind of ideas, information, thoughts. So sometimes having some kind of intermission or the break, it makes you just try to uh just just try to like hold back yourself a little bit out of these kind of things. Maybe do other kind of activity, like maybe like you've been working on like on some kind of like like just thinking about like the script for a video, or thinking about like how do I get better picture or something. We try to like pull yourself out of that mode. Maybe you say, oh, okay, today I'm gonna have a break. Maybe I just go on stroll on the street, no purpose. Which I'm gonna just fully focus on this kind of simple activity. I just want to stroll on the street and see where I'm go. I just do that, and after you're doing this kind of activity, you will feel like, and also like it would be better if you just go to sleep, and just like after night of sleep, you will figure out like maybe those things which once hold you back, maybe you're just stuck with some point, suddenly it just or goes pretty well. That's the magic thing about this kind of break. So that's why I feel like this might be the way to help people if they really feel drained and they want to recharge. I was actually advising people try to pull yourself out of that kind of mode. Maybe you feel drained and you just want to stay in the home. Yes, you see, even if you're staying in home, it's not just like you just rest. Try to do some different kind of activities which can make you just like keep just focus on that, and more. And the key is you just focus on that. Don't try to let other thoughts or anxiety coming through.
You need the light and the dark, the yin and the yang.
Exactly, it's how you balance.
道
You,
可道，非常道，
yeah.
名可名，非常名。
Yeah, I'd also say like more.
Do you know what I was just saying right now?
Yeah.
Are you Chinese? Do you know what I was just?
I know,
What was I
it's-
just
it's-
reciting?
It's Taoism.
The opening lines to the Tao Te Ching by Big Boy Lao Tzu.
Yeah, big boy lots. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I was. You're right. It's actually a good line for our audience to
Yeah, no, sorry,
understand
that was
about
a
yeah.
joke.
No,
but
it's actually great.
What you were just saying, as far as I mean, I can remember distinctly several times where I'm exhausted and I'm tired and I'm sick of all the noise and the craziness of wherever the place that I am is, and I just want to like lay in bed in the Airbnb that I rented and just kind of block everything out. And if I'm just like sitting on my phone or watching TV, it actually makes me feel worse when I isolate myself like that.
Yeah.
And as much as I particularly am a very independent person and like my space, and just yes.
So that's why.
What I'm saying is like
sorry.
the being around other people is actually a healthier thing for you. And so I think locking yourself up alone in the room is perhaps a good escape mechanism if you're feeling crazy overwhelmed or anxious, but it is not a good fix to everything.
Yeah.
And generally, again, is when I do that for extended periods of time, it actually makes me feel much more horrific than I did that in whatever the situation was that made me want to lock myself in the room.
Yeah, as I say, like yin yang, the balancing. Sometimes when you feel overwhelmed, so it's actually depends on what kind of person you are. Are you overwhelmed by like keep process all the information and all the stuff from a lot of people? Then it's the time you lock yourself up back in your room. You try to give yourself a little bit more time and space. That's the right way to do that. If you are overwhelmed by those like non-human stuff things, like the
Such as what are non-human stuff things?
like those codes, texts, like whatever projects or the things you want to handle with, probably it's time for you to like push your like hold your just escape from those things and try to like just put yourself in somewhere which you can like just actually like interact with people, the real, I mean the human. So like it will give you the different feeling, and also will just, I was like switch to different mode, give you a more like a balanced feeling about where you are. So that I think it's a good way for you to recharge. So it's actually depends. So I guess right now, like since we're talking about to this point, so I guess first it's really important to navigate what kind of drained situation you are. Are you like being exhausted from like
Yeah,
talking with those
yes,
people?
yes.
Or
When, if you are feeling a craving for rest, is it because your body is telling you that, or is it your psyche? You know what I mean? Is your body telling you that I need physical rest, or is it your mind that is like, this is a little much. I need some time to absorb what's been going on and to perhaps reflect on it before continuing forward. I think you need to identify which one it is.
Yeah.
If it is the former, if it is the physical rest, that's where perhaps you get permission to lay in bed and watch Netflix for a little bit.
yeah.
If it's uh, the latter, if it is the mental angst, I don't know if that would be, if I would prescribe the same prescription, the same remedy to those two different types. Because yeah, I remember many times where that just kind of like made it worse, and then as soon as I went outside, I was like, I just need some just like life around me. I just need cars going by and people around, and I feel much better. So, yeah, rest is important, but sparingly, very sparingly.
Yeah, I mean, it's also depends on like what kind of person you are. I mean, some people like maybe like Max are like anti breaks. It's not a bad thing, but because that's because maybe you're sometimes like break is not that necessary to you. So like you also like
But do I infect the people around me? Is that what you're about to say? Is it impacts the people around you? Is that
no no
are we about to have our are we about to have
oh
a
no no no.
company therapy session right now? Is that what's going on?
No, not right now. I'm saying like it's depends on different people. So it's okay if you are a person who feel like I don't want to take a break. It's okay as long as it is you feel it's best for you. Also, if you feel like you want a break, but the other people around you don't need a break, it's also okay for you just take your own break at the right moment. Cause you know like what works best for you. So like it's also depends on like it's also like very important, like you should know yourself well, like what kind of drain situation you might be. That's the first thing I guess we like when you want to like actually recharge. That's the first things for for us to like navigate. Any other like tips from the anti-break people?
Um, no. Again, generally I am pretty wired and don't agree with breaks because I think perhaps I thought anytime you are not working on the thing that you are working on or progressing in any way is time wasted. But if you can mature a little bit, like I think I have even just very slightly in this aspect, sometimes it can be productive if it does allow for a recharge or, again, a perspective shift. So, yeah, I think this was a realization I've had probably a few weeks ago over the course of the last year, but I really kind of sat and thought about it and marinated in it one day a few weeks ago, where it's just about the longevity of it too, right? Because if you're someone who's come into our general ecosystem, right, you are either traveling extended periods of time or living abroad for an extended period of time, and it's a marathon, right? Like
Yep.
you're not
It's not a sprint.
correct. That would be the ending of that pairing of phrases. Thank you for finishing that.
Okay. Sorry.
So yeah, I it's fine. Rest is allowed, just sparingly and effectively.
Yeah.
Use it effectively. Use it as a tool. And if it can energize you for the days and weeks and months and possibly years to come, then go for it. But if it's a form of escapism,
Then
then that's probably not
yeah.
a good thing to do, right? Because if you are isolate yourself and mask it as rest, you're lying to yourself and you're
Yeah.
actually going to make your situation much worse. So I think that's what you were saying earlier, is identify what type of exhaustion you might be experiencing.
Exactly.
Is it physical? Is it mental? If it is mental, what type of mental is it?
Yeah.
Is it you've just been hitting the books too hard, or you've been out and you've been learning the language so much that you deserve a couple days to kind of take a break and reset? Or is it you are, feeling homesick and just generally angsty and overwhelmed, where, isolation perhaps is not the best remedy. Actually, what you need is to kind of be out and meeting more people and getting more familiar with your environment.
Yeah.
So there's some self-prescribing that has to go into it, some honest reflection about what you've been up to and why you are in this low energy status. But yeah, if we filmed this a year ago, I probably would have said
I probably would cut us
I
off.
don't know, take a nap and drink a coffee and get back at it. At most I would allow a half-hour nap.
I will be very unhappy with that, and strongly against that, I would say. But yeah, again, that's also the thing, we learn from each other, because we're
Yes.
that's also how that's actually allow us to have have more different. It's not only about we can share the same situation because we're always work together, so we might have this.
Is that
moments.
what's at the heart of most of these hot pot meals that we have? Is that really what you're trying to tell me?
Maybe because it's to us I'm sorry, I don't want to get it along, but yes, to our Chinese people, sometimes when we feel drained or something from work or from life, there is one I was it's it just works all the time. Is just go get yourself
Sure.
some nice food or drinks, and more importantly, it's an occasion. You
I
can
think people too
talk
is
shit with
important.
your friends,
it's not,
your close friends.
You don't. It's not do it alone. Some people do it alone, and then Heidi Lau will give them a giant teddy bear, so they're not necessarily alone.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think what you're saying is the food and drink as a remedy to whatever you're feeling down is rarely done alone. I think Chinese people will certainly rely on others.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to do it alone. But sometimes you can also do it alone. It depends on, it's also kind of what kind of situation you are. But I'm thinking there's the other way to help us to sometimes you are alone physically because you definitely want to like you said, whether you're just solo
The vast
travelers
majority
or,
of people watching this might be completely alone,
yeah.
actually.
So sometimes when you feel you drain, you want to recharge yourself, or you just want to share. Actually, it's not only just you. As we're saying, isolate yourself in a way will be help, but still you need some outlet to share your thoughts or find some people which they might be there as well. Luckily,
We're not. I don't think we're ready for that. I think we still have a few more things to say before we. It was good though.
Okay,
It was
sorry,
good though. We
sorry.
maybe we can go into that now, but then we're gonna continue. So what she was just leading us into a quick plug for our free community called the Chameleon Club, hosted by Chameleon Pathos,
yeah,
sponsored by Chameleon Pathos,
yeah,
sponsored by Chameleon.
and more
Pathos.
importantly, it is free.
It is free. That is an important part to include.
Yeah.
Thank you before leading me into my pitch about it. It is a community hosted on school.com of a community of people who are either traveling long-term or living long-term abroad, not in their country of origin, and are specifically focused on integrating into the local society and culture, changing themselves, growing themselves in the process. So if you want to be a part of that, the link will be in the description of whatever platform you are watching this on right now. So we give you a warm welcome to come join us, and we will be awaiting you there. And normally we end the episodes right after I say this, so
Yeah.
I'm getting in the mode of wrapping it up completely. But hold on, let's transition back into what we were talking about and continue.
Okay.
I think also another thing to realize is that when you are in a period of feeling that you might need rest for whatever reason it might be, is that might just be how you're feeling in that particular moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And coming to the realization that you are not your thoughts, right? And that thoughts will pop up and perhaps cloud your reality, and just give it a little time, because I think that's one thing I've realized throughout the just constant being by myself that I've gone throughout in random corners of the world, is that sometimes the thoughts, perhaps, or particularly the negative ones, are just there momentarily, and perhaps you've just had the wrong stimuli in the external world that made you feel that way, or brought up some sort of negative thought, and that's not necessarily representative of everything that's going on around you. So don't mistake you being in a funk because of some thought that came up as a need for rest. You might just need to work on that mental game a little more. Yeah, and that all just goes into the self-prescribing of, if you're feeling down, is this a need for physical rest? Is it some mental space for a rest? Or are you just in a funk and you're going to be fine in a few hours? And more times than not, it's going to be that last one. And so, yeah, don't think you are going into a mental crisis if you're feeling down just for a little bit. It's very natural and very reasonable for you to feel like that at times. And that might be a signal to you that you do need to work on some of the mind games as well, to clear out some of those negative thoughts and realize that they are not you, and don't control how you feel in the moment, and that you are in control of that. So yeah, there's a whole bunch that goes into this and the idea of rest. But if you are feeling physically exhausted and your body's giving you signals, or you are really overwhelmed with everything that's going on around you, those are two different types of rest that need to be prescribed for those different situations. So self-prescribe accordingly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said.
Thank you. We're going to do one more plug. We did a plug earlier on, but we're going to plug one more time.
Okay,
We're
sure.
now approaching the end of the episode. So we're
Yeah.
going to plug one more time the Chameleon Club, which is our free community, which if you want to be a part of and meet other like-minded people who unfortunately might be going through some of the distresses that you are as well in your life abroad. But the cool thing is, on the internet, we can do it all together at the same time and feel a little less alone. So that might help with the loneliness part, which reminds me of two free resources that you built out. One is overcoming culture shock,
Yep.
and another one is overcoming loneliness,
Yep.
both of which are applicable to this conversation. So shout out Phoebe for putting those together for everyone, to help you understand what culture shock is, but then also get through it. That might be for some of those who are in the earlier stages. And loneliness, I think, is applicable to all, because that'll still plague you even late in your days of being out of your country of origin.
Yep.
Even in your country of origin, you might feel lonely at times.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you all for joining us, and we're going to wrap it up. We're heading to the market right now. Are you excited to go to the market?
Yeah, I'm pumped.
We need to restock on some durian, most certainly. Unfortunately, the durian's not actually at the market. The durian's just going to be on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
So that massage parlor where I got the durian last time, that might be where we go get our durian.
Yeah.
So we're just going to have to figure out how we coordinate that all. But we most certainly need durian, maybe some snakeskin fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Anything? What's on your list?
More lemongrass.
Lemongrass.
Yeah.
We need lemongrass. Should we get
Yeah.
fresh ginger and make the ginger ourselves rather than
Sure,
get
let's
those
do that.
packets? Ginger, lemongrass, durian.
Mm.
Okay. We should have pressed pause about a minute ago. We don't need to tell everyone our market list.
Yeah. Okay. So until next time.
Until next time.
Okay. Bye bye.